Hi everyone, thanks very much for tuning in. It's just a wee video just to obviously say thank you for the 5,000 plus subs. Just madness. I never expected that many subs in 1 week, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. Hopefully we can keep going. I just want to do a short video on just to basically address some of the comments. I can see loads and loads of comments coming in about some of the issues that were spoken of in the video. I've obviously been inundated with messages on Instagram as well, which obviously don't mind. If someone needs help, you can get in contact with me on that if you are having issues with your benefit, your universal credit. But like I say, I mean, I have said to a couple of people that it does sound like it's actually getting worse. Some of the things people are sending me, and it's the same issues. It is actually it is the same issues. The main one being people are, well, I'll address first and foremost, people are getting sanctioned, and a couple of them have asked me this, and they've said, have you got any advice on how I deal with this? They said, well, are you at least getting your recoverable hardship payment? And some of them are asking, well, what's that? And it's like, that's your payment that they need to give you. If they sanction your money. I mean, even though you're sanctioned, they still have to give you money to eat, and they obviously still have to pay for the roof over your head. I mean, they would love to not have that obligation, but they do have to do it. But so many people don't realise that, and this has got a problem as well. I spoke in I think it was in the last video when I said about the issues people were having with getting their phone number changed because it was difficult to get agents, obviously, to send the pack form off that I mentioned. Well, these hardship payments are actually that's a cause and effect of that as well, and not getting your hardship payment. And I'll just briefly go into that. So if you're calling up and you're struggling to get your new number on there, even if you can't get your new number on there, you can't log into your account, which means you can't manage your account, you can't deal with any tasks they send to your to-do list, you obviously can't see any appointments or anything like that, which does result in sanctions. And even when you are sanctioned, and this is a big problem here, first and foremost, they're obviously not being told by anyone that these hardship payments are available, and it's the same issue as the pack form. And I did mention it that they'd obviously started to put more of the process onto us when we were processing these hardship forms, these hardship payments. The only thing we didn't process was the payment, but it is quite extensive, and obviously mentioned that it was I having to ask invasive double questions, and it's quite bad. However, if your telephone number's not correct on the system, then what the case manager will do is the case manager will call the number that's already registered on there, but you're not using that number, so they're not going to get in contact. And I mean, I've even seen this happen lots of times as well. Even when people call up and leave an alternative number, they might not have access to their phone, or it might be cut off or something. I mean, a lot of case managers do call the alternative number, but some of them don't. They'll just try the number that's on there, and if it's off, it's off, that's it, done. And it's just further sabotage, and like I said, I've seen that happen many times. And I mean, if you call up to change your number and you can't get it done, like that guy I mentioned, for a year, the ramifications of that are quite serious. It actually it starves you. It ends up taking food off your table, as it's doing with so many people. I mean, I can't go into too much details because I don't want people to. They've told me this information in confidentiality, and they would be able to identify themselves. But I mean, it's absolutely harrowing, some of the things that people are saying. And then even when you ask them if they're getting a hardship payment, they don't know what that is. That just further validates what I've been saying in the videos, that there's not nearly enough people doing this job correctly. And then we get some comments that are saying, well, everybody take it to their MP, and I'll go into that in a second, why that's just a complete waste of time, because I've actually done that myself before, and I'll give you some details of that in a second. But I mean, if you can't tell someone when they're sanctioned that, by the way, and it happened all the time on the line, I was always telling people that you can get a hardship payment, what's that? But if you're an agent and someone calls up and they've been sanctioned and they're asking, well, what can I do? and you don't do your job and do the correct thing by telling them, well, actually, you have been sanctioned, but you can get a hardship payment, and it obviously allows you to eat. So if you can't even do that little small thing because you're too lazy, and sorry, I shouldn't say that, there is laziness involved. It's not just laziness, it's the invasive questions that I mentioned. As I'd said, I'd sort of used a dialogue. I had a dialogue made up in my head where I could word it in a certain way where it wouldn't offend the claimant. So it would basically, so it showed you were on their side as well, and they were obviously very grateful for it. And I didn't ask the second question either. And you can do something like that as well if you are an agent and you're watching this. There is a ways around it to not make it as invasive, and to get the claimant, obviously, to show the claimant that you're on their side. So there is ways around it, just because it might be quite, well, because the questions are invasive, or maybe it is quite long, it takes 15-20 minutes, and people go into details about their lives. Yeah, I know it's difficult, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to do it, you can't be there. And I can see that it's still, before I left, I was in a meeting with regards to these forms not getting filled out and numbers not getting changed, and I was assured that people were losing their positions for it, but it would appear that it is still, obviously, it's still happening. And this is why I'm putting the terminology across in these videos, because people can get manipulated when they don't know the information. So if you phone up and, like I just said there, about a sanction, and you're asking how you're going to eat this month, if that person doesn't turn around and give them the information or the payment that they need to get, then that person obviously thinks that they're not entitled to anything, and that's wrong. So they're not getting the information. That's obviously clear. I've had some good news in the messages. Obviously can't go into that either because they would be able to identify themselves, but it was really good to hear that there was actually some good news for a change. So it's basically just to let people know exactly what it is that they're entitled to again. And I'm actually in contact with someone to see about maybe getting some kind of blog sorted out so that the information's there for people to go to. I mean, you can obviously come to these videos, you can refer people to these videos, and that's just one thing I wanted to say about the subscribers. Someone was saying in the comments, oh, there's 100,000 views but only 4,000 subscribers, whatever it was. I just want to say that is not the primary consideration, me getting subscribers. Subscribers is good for me, but views is better for you. As long as we get the views, that's all that matters. Yes, I absolutely appreciate every single subscriber, and I do, and I really do. I'm really grateful to have you, and I'll help you whatever way I can. But the first and foremost, it's about getting the message out there. Because the more people that see the message, the more chance we can obviously change it. I meant to say that at the start, I do apologise. But yeah, so like I was saying there, if there's a blog there where people can obviously be referred to, I'll have to wait and see, because I've obviously got my own life to maintain, and that's why this I know people are waiting in the weight loss video. I'm just about ready to pull the trigger on it. It shouldn't be too much longer. I've just about got it mapped out in my head, and I'm just to move on to the bullet points, and then I'll record it. It should be tomorrow. This was just obviously something to fill that in, just to address some of these comments, as I said. And like I say, I've got some ideas for some other videos as well. But if I could get some kind of forum up and running where this information's there, where it maybe one category could be childcare, and then they would obviously maybe be disability, and then like hardship payments or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure how that would look yet, but I mean, I will come around to it. But like I said, you don't want to take too much on either, because I had some stuff to sort out yesterday. Obviously last week being as hectic as it was, there's some things that fell by the wayside in my own life. I fell behind in my Spanish lessons, so to get right caught up with them yesterday. So that's obviously why I couldn't post yesterday. So yeah, and then more comments as well. And there's something I would like to address here with regards to what I said about LCWRA, when I said people who, you can tell when people call up and they need to go to the job centre to verify something. They don't want to go to the job centre, and people have obviously misunderstood that by thinking that I'm saying that anyone that refuses to go to the job centre to verify anything has cheated themselves into LCWRA. It's simply not true. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that the vast majority of people who are on LCWRA have got absolutely no problem attending the job centre. There is a small number that don't want to attend, and they give you absolutely every excuse under the sun as to why they don't want to attend. And then you say, well, you can have a home visit if that's the case, but their payment's due. So because of that, they absolutely demand that you verify the details, which you can't do. And then they start hitting you with the lies that I don't leave the house for anything. It's like, what, you don't leave the house for anything? No. And then the words these people use, it's like, that's obviously a lie, and you can tell by the way they're shouting at you. Because as I've said before, you speak to many people, and if someone calls up who is genuinely vulnerable and doesn't like being around people, and you tell them at the start of the call, look, you need to verify your bank details, then the first thing they will tell you is, I cannot go out the house, I don't do well around people, and I've got severe anxiety. That's the first thing they tell you, and it's at that point you say, well, we'll get you a home visit. These people, it's the last thing they tell you, it's like the last excuse, and that's what I meant. And I mean, the brain's got a linguistical disposition. In other words, it's the words it uses, you can tell if the person's telling the truth or not, or whether they have an agenda. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on this, but I've read some of the literature on it, and it did help me doing this job. Of course it did, and that's why I've done it. It's almost like body language for words, if you like. And I picked up on a lot of the words that people were saying, and that was just a small part of it. So if I have offended anyone with that, I do apologise. That's not what I meant, because like I say, there's the vast majority of people who are on that sickness benefit. They've got no problems going to the job centre. If they have genuinely got health conditions, they can request a home visit, as I said. So that was just one other thing that I wanted to obviously clear up. And some of the comments that I've had, again, has just been absolutely amazing. And I mean, people telling you you're special and all the rest of it, and it's like, well, I'm not special. I know, big surprise. Everyone's special, absolutely everyone is, and I appreciate the words to say that we need people like me, and we need people like you as well. We need everyone, and everyone's got a part to play in this. Everyone has got something to offer, and I'll obviously go into that in the weight loss video. A lot of this content's going to be in that next video. There's been a lot of comments as well about voting for alternative parties and contacting MPs and alternative parties, voting for an alternative party, and I'm sure there's people within them that want to do good, but it's really going to depend on two things. I mean, first, it's going to depend on what the morals and the views and the goals of the leadership of the party are, and then secondly, and perhaps more importantly, where is their funding coming from? I think that needs to be established first and foremost before looking at any alternative parties. And then you get people saying they need to send this video to their MP, and I would like to think it would have an effect if every single person that watched it done that. It probably would have an effect. However, writing to your MPs, it does no, well, it did it for me back in COVID. Or after when they started rolling out the apparent cure, and I had emailed the local MP here at the time, Mr. Alistair Jack, about the situation and about the evidence that I had, and people's testimony in the industry that said it was wrong with regards to testing, etc. And it was extensive research. I mean, I'd said page after page. And he basically sent me something back to say that I was mistaken, I was paranoid, and he sent me the COVID handbook. Now, I think it was about, and this was about a year and a half after I'd done that, maybe it wasn't quite as long as that, my mother had actually sent a similar type of email with regards to the amount of people that were dropping from the apparent cure. And what he did was, the email address that I had sent to him, it only contained my middle name. Now, obviously got the same second name as my mum, but the email address was my middle name. So that middle name was completely different to what my mum's second name was. So a year and a half later, my mum sends him this. I think she sent him a letter. That's why she got a letter back. Maybe she didn't. Maybe it was an email. I can't remember. But anyway, he'd sent her this letter back from the House of Commons. Now, he knew that he'd had those conversations with me, but he didn't know I had the same second name as her. Now this is what you get back. Thank you for contacting me about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic and your concerns about the vaccines. It is absolutely... This was her raising her concerns about the apparent cure. This is what he said. It is absolutely not the case that pharmaceutical companies created COVID-19 for their own profit, and it is extremely irresponsible for people to promote these lies. Scientists have worked extremely hard to establish the origin of the virus in order to help to defeat it. Pharmaceutical companies also have been working hard to establish treatments and vaccines for the virus. In fact, AstraZeneca has pledged not to profit from the vaccine during the pandemic. And why not? Why is that? Well, because they're good, right? Of course they are. Nonsense. The response to the UK has been guided by science. Well, not hasn't. I mean, it's been confirmed now that this is what he's saying here is nonsense. As the bedrock on which the government is making its decisions, my colleagues across the government work with the health, transport, business, education and commercial partners to support the NHS and save lives during the pandemic. I'm not going to read any further than that. I no longer want to taste any more of his words. But anyway, after I did read the letter, I immediately went to an email address, the same email address I contacted him off previously, and I emailed him to say that actually the person had sent this letter to, and I took a photo of it, and I sent it to him along with the address, and I said that the person that you have sent this letter to is actually not only a relative of mine, she's my mother, and I had told you all about this stuff a year and a half before, and I had to say to him, if my second name was in that previous email address, there is no way that man would have sent that letter to her address. It just wouldn't have happened, because he would have seen that it was obviously the same email, the same name in the same small town, and it just wouldn't have happened. The same address. It just wouldn't have happened. It just would not have happened. And I emailed him to say that he was a coward for doing that. Basically lying to people and saying that, oh, nothing to worry about, not even taking it on. So that's what you get when you take these issues to your MP. And I told him he wasn't fit for purpose, and I said to him, I says, I don't know you well enough, Mr. Jack, to call you a psychopath, but I know you enough to call you a coward. And I left it at that. And I demanded face-to-face meetings with him, etc., and he just wasn't into it. I just wanted to present my evidence to him. He just wasn't interested. They're not interested because it upsets their apple cart. It does not serve them to obviously chase this kind of thing up. It just doesn't. And then on Monday, I mean, look at this shit. You get this through. This is the latest guy who's in the area. Now, the only thing that looks different to me is his appearance and his name. That's it. To move Scotland forward, we first need to beat the SNP here. I mean, we first need to beat the SNP. That's schoolyard talk. That's playground talk. I mean, if you even look at the front of it, you look at this part here. These here, it's like house groups at high school. That's exactly what it's like. That's the mentality of this. It's just utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Scottish Conservative and Unionist. Just a complete and utter waste of time. Now, like I say, if it was 120,000 people that were doing it, then maybe it would have an effect. But one or two people here and there, and I don't know how many people have been emailing their MPs about any of that stuff or any of the DWP stuff or otherwise. But it's worth mentioning that that's the kind of response that you get from the people that we've elected to run our country. And that's another thing I'm getting in the comments as well, about people trying to tell me that, oh, you have to vote. It's like, no you don't. You don't have to, or he gets in. Well, as I've already explained, when you vote, you're handing your power over to a group of people who you know have lied to you. You know they're corrupt. But yet you're still saying to them, I know you're lying about this and that and the next thing, and I know we're taxed to the hilt, and I know that the benefit system's all wrong and that the apparent cure's killed people. But I'm still going to vote for you. You're handing not only your power over to them, but you're giving credibility to them and this system. The minute the credibility stops is when we stop voting. No confidence. Because, like I say, it doesn't matter. I heard a great quote. Don't vote, it just encourages them. Which it does. It does just encourage them, there's no doubt about it. And there's another quote related to that. I mean, there's no point voting because the government still gets in, which is absolutely true. It's the two-party state. It's the old two wings, part of the same body, if you like, and it's just all one. Don't like what the Conservatives are doing, right? Okay, we'll go to Labour. Oh, actually, I've made a mistake here voting for Labour. They're not quite cutting it for me, right? What can I look at now? Well, okay, what have we got? We've got Lib Dems, right? No, well, I don't really like the input. What's Conservative, right? Okay, so I need to go. So I've voted for Labour to get rid of Conservative, but now I'm not happy with Labour. I need to go back to Conservative. That's just madness. And how's that not a one-party state? I mean, how's it not a one-party state when that's going on? And I know people in the comments have said that there's more. There is alternative parties out there, of course there is, but like I said, we need to establish just exactly, first and foremost, what their goals are and where they come from. Because they don't come from anywhere without funding, do they? Let's be honest. And I know there is some great people out there, there's some fantastic people out there that really do want to make a difference here. And I mean, we will make a difference, as I said in the last video. The comments, I was, just before I go any further, I would just like to thank everyone. Because as I've said to a few people, I lost my faith during COVID, and I lost my faith in people, and that's one of the worst things you can do. But you all, every single one of you, who have commented to say that you want change, and thank you very much, and we knew something was wrong, and what can we do? That is absolutely brilliant. I mean, and you've absolutely restored my faith in humanity, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, because you've given me my life force back, so I'll do whatever it is that's required of me to try and help people get theirs back. Because if I can come from the position that I was once in, and I'm not trivialising anyone else's situations, but I was in a pretty deep hole, and I'm going to go into it in the next video with regards to my addictions and the places that I ended up being in and how I did come back from that. It might even be a separate video to the weight loss one, or I might combine them, I'm not sure yet, I'll decide before I record. But if I can do that, that means anybody can. If I can open my mind to the world and open my heart to become a better person, then anyone can, because no one was more closed-hearted or closed-minded than me. No one was more negative than me. No one was more pessimistic than me. I was the glass half empty, but I changed that to a glass half full, and things changed. It didn't change overnight, but it did change. So like I say, that'll be on the next video. So I don't think there's anything else I need to cover. It was just a couple of things to remind people that they are entitled to recoverable hardship payments, because it's quite, I mean, it is quite obviously, well, disheartening for a start, when people don't even know that hardship payment's there. And there is, I mean, there's been lots of work coaches who've obviously told their claimants, look, call up on the day you get your pay, because that's when you can get it. And I would encourage that you phone up at 8 o'clock in the morning to do that. So, like I say, it was just a communication to send out to people to let them know exactly what they're entitled to. And again, that flexible support fund's there for people, for your to get a new phone, to get to work, anything like that. So it's a setup that's there for you. So you would be as well using that. And again, it's done through the lines I've gone through in videos on how to do that. I'll obviously keep you updated with regards to the blog to see about getting that done, so that the information's there. And like I say, I'm just about to obviously pull the trigger on this next video. Like I said, just mapped out in my head. I just want to make sure I can deliver it correctly. And as you can see, I've actually changed location as well. I don't know if I said at the start of the video. That seat, it's driving me bananas now. It didn't before until someone pointed it out, and then now it's just driving me crazy. So I am looking to get set up properly. I'm looking at equipment today, I'll look tonight. I didn't have much time to do, but I'll be looking tonight at getting some proper equipment so that we can obviously try and move forward with this. But again, I would just like to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for all your subscribes, all your views and all your lovely comments. Like I say, I'll do what I can for everyone moving forward, and if you do need any help with anything at all, but mainly your benefits, then you know obviously to find me on Instagram. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you when I post again, which should hopefully be by tomorrow night. Okay, have a nice night. Bye.